Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another video. I am Eric Go, otherwise known as Oh No It's Eric Go, and today we will be talking about dual Filipino and American citizenship and some info about taxes. So if you haven't watched my previous video about a crash course on dual Filipino and American citizenship, you can actually visit that by clicking the link either, I think it's going to be here or here, but I'll also paste a link to it down below. That way you guys can kind of get an overview of dual Filipino-American citizenship, how to get it, and also some travel tips when you finally have your Philippine passport. So Ben Franklin once said, "Only two things in life are certain, death and taxes." Now, while we can't really explain death to you guys, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about taxes. So, of course, you guys might be watching this and you already are a dual citizen, or perhaps you're thinking about getting dual citizenship and you guys have questions on how you will be taxed as a dual citizen. So I'm going to be talking about my own personal experience, and I just want to say as a disclaimer, I am not a CPA and I'm also not a tax professional, and I'm speaking generally from my own experiences on how I was able to file my taxes and be in compliance with the IRS during my time here in Manila. So the main question we'll be answering today is, do you get taxed twice if you are a dual Filipino-American citizen? The short answer to that is no, and we'll actually be going over why exactly you don't get taxed twice. Let's say you are a dual Filipino-American citizen and you are working here in the Philippines. Most likely, if you're working here in the Philippines as a dual citizen, you will be viewed in the eyes of the Philippine law as a Philippine citizen. They don't necessarily need to know if you're an American citizen. All they need to know is that you are a Philippine citizen, and therefore you will be liable to pay taxes as any other Filipino would. Now, how that works is you get your salary or you get your paycheck every 2 weeks, and very similar to how it is in America, you will get your taxes deducted from each paycheck. Where it differs a little bit is every single week you'll get your taxes deducted, and at the end of a fiscal or a calendar year, you will actually get a document called an ITR form. Now, this ITR form is very similar to a W-2 that you would get in the United States, and I'm going to try to just block out some of this information and just show you the top. It's actually Form 2316. Your employer gives you a copy of this, and what it is it states how much money you made in the last tax year, as well as how much taxes were deducted from your paychecks. This is just for your reference, and it's actually going to be very important in order to file American taxes if you're a dual citizen living and working in the Philippines. But in terms of what you need to do in the Philippines, you don't have to do anything with this ITR form. And you just keep it for your records. That way you know how much you made and how much taxes you paid. And you can use this as proof that you are in compliance with the Philippine tax system for the previous tax year. As I mentioned, it's a little different here in the Philippines. You don't actually have to file a tax return. It's not like in America where you have to go to H&R Block or TurboTax and fill out one of those tax returns and owe any other taxes. The taxes that you owe have already been taken out. They are outlined on this sheet, and that is all you need to do in order to be compliant with Philippine tax regulations. There are some other things as cedula and whatnot, but it depends on your employer, and it will really vary from employer to employer. So I recommend you talk to your HR or whoever you have in contact with your company and ask them if there's anything else that you need to do in terms of being tax compliant in the Philippines. On the American side, the reason why I mentioned that this document will be very crucial in order for you to file your taxes is because it shows you the peso equivalent of the money you earned in the tax year which you were filing. So there are a couple of things you need to consider as an expat filing for your US taxes. The first one is the actual income that you're making abroad. So if you made less than $105,900 in 2019, you are eligible for the foreign income tax exclusion. In order for you to be eligible for that, you need to do a couple of things. The first one is state that you paid taxes to a foreign country. And again, that's where this ITR comes in, because it shows you exactly the amount of tax that you paid in the Philippines when you were working here. The IRS won't ask you how much you paid in taxes to the Philippines, but they will ask you about your gross income before you paid any Philippine taxes. So there is a peso amount here at the bottom of this sheet, and if that amount is less than 105,900 USD, you will be eligible for that exclusion. On top of that, though, you will need to prove one of two things. The first is either you pass the bona fide resident test, or the second one is the physical presence test. It's important to note that in order to be eligible for this exclusion, you only need to pass one of the two tests. Now, the bona fide residence test requires you to prove that you have established residence here in the Philippines for the entire calendar year. Again, that's a bit difficult, but if you have established either your family here or yourself here and you can prove that you've been living in the Philippines for the entire year, then go ahead, you can use that test. However, I recommend that you use the physical presence test, as that is a much easier way to prove that you are exempt or that you are eligible for the foreign income tax exclusion. The physical presence test is actually the test that I have been using for the past 2 years to file taxes here in the Philippines, and it has been the easier option for me. Essentially what it is you just have to prove to the IRS that you have been outside of America for 330 days or more. So what you just need to do is go through your passport, check all of your passport stamps here, and then you will be able to kind of give a list of countries that you've been to the entire tax year, and hopefully those don't include America, because if you have been in America for more than 35 days, then you will not be eligible for the foreign earned income tax exclusion. For me personally, I took a bunch of trips around Asia, so Shanghai, Korea, Japan, China, all of those don't count against me. Last year in 2019, I was actually in America for only about 2 weeks visiting my parents for vacation, and for me, I had no problem at all passing the physical presence test and getting the foreign earned income tax exclusion. I went ahead and filed my taxes, and the thing to note here is that I didn't owe any taxes and I also didn't get a refund back. The only out-of-pocket cost that I had to incur was the price for TurboTax Deluxe, which is the preferred tax software that I use. It's important to note that you won't get anything back. They won't ask for any deposit, direct deposit information, as long as you are underneath that $105,900 tax bracket, as I call it. It's also important to note that every single year that number is adjusted with inflation. So for 2020, it is actually going to be $107,600. So again, if you make less than that on your BIR form that your employer will give you, then you are not liable to pay for taxes since you've already paid for your taxes here in the Philippines. As I mentioned before, I actually prefer to use TurboTax simply because I've been using that for quite a number of years now, and I just want to note that only TurboTax Deluxe and above allow you to deduct the foreign earned income tax. If you use the free version or the basic version, it won't have that feature, so you're going to need to pony up the $55 or so in order to get TurboTax Deluxe and make sure that you can file for that tax exemption. Now, let's flip things around just a little bit. Let's say you're a dual Filipino-American citizen and you are not working or living in the Philippines, but rather you are working in the United States. Well, that is actually quite simple as well, and it goes back to our initial question, do you get taxed twice? The answer, once again, is you don't get taxed twice. You go ahead, you go to your job or whatever it is that you do in America, you get your W-2 and you file your taxes as you normally would, be it through TurboTax, H&R Block, your personal CPA, and you pay your US taxes as you normally would. When you are living in America and you hold Philippine citizenship, you are not liable for any taxes here in the Philippines. That being said, if you own land, have a business, or have any other sort of income that is Philippines based, you might want to check on your specific situation, as at that point you might be liable for some sort of tax. So all in all, filing taxes as a dual Philippine American citizen is actually not that difficult, regardless of where you are living and working. Again, don't forget to visit irs.gov for more information on the foreign earned income tax exemption, and also visit TurboTax if you haven't filed your taxes already. Just as a quick note, this video is not sponsored by TurboTax, but it has been very helpful for me personally in the past couple of years that I've been living in Manila and filing my taxes in America. The good news about only paying $55 to file taxes every year and not getting a refund but also not owing any taxes is I've been compliant with the IRS, I haven't gotten audited, and I haven't gotten any letters in the mail back home. If you have any additional questions regarding taxes for dual citizens, please don't forget to comment below. Don't forget also to follow me on Instagram at Oh No It's Eric Go for more daily adventures of an American living here in Manila. And of course, as I mentioned, I just started my blog, gowithericgo.com. We'll put a link right over there, or maybe over there, and give it a read, see if you like any of the stuff there. I talk more about dual citizenship, and I also talk about some of my adventures here around Asia. If you guys like what you see, please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and consider subscribing, as well as hitting that notification bell to get notifications whenever I upload a new video. Once again, I'm Eric Go, otherwise known as Oh No It's Eric Go, and thank you guys so much for watching. See you in the next one.